Hello my visual effects friends. As you can see here, I have my green screen video with my superimposed car over the top, Model T, and if I play through, you'll see that our lovely driver's hands are over the top of the steering wheel. Well, sorta. So what I did was apply a mask to the hands, and then with that mask, I applied a motion tracker to follow each one of her hands. Let me show you how I did it. So the first thing I can do is I'm going to take the stock footage, I'm going to drag it down and create a new composition. If I look at this, it's over 7 minutes long. What I can do is go to the composition settings. I'm going to change the length of this video to be about 25 seconds long to start. Don't forget to rename your composition and click OK. From here, what I can do is actually pick where I want my footage to work from 0 to 25 seconds. So if I just left click and drag, I can kind of drag through and scrub and see where my footage is going to be. And I don't want a car in the background, that doesn't look right. So I'm going to kind of keep scrubbing through and see what I can find. So right about here is a nice countryside drive, and then it kind of keeps going a little bit. It's got a nice look to it. So I think I'm going to go with right here when they come over the curve into the hill. Next thing I need to do is I need to go up to my capture and grab the capture that I want to use. For this one, I'm going to drag down capture 01 over the top of the previous footage. Once my stock footage is in there, I can scale it down to make it fit. So if I look, I can scale this down to make it fit within the screen. From here, what I need to do is get rid of this green screen. So I go up to Effects, Keying, Key Light 1.2. I grab the eyedropper from the key light, pull out the green. What I'm going to do is turn off the background, and I'm going to turn on the alpha channel. And if I look, there's a little bit of a haze around here, and if you kind of scrub through, you'll see a little bit of a darker color here. What I can do to clean that up is go to my screen mat and actually increase my clip black and decrease my clip white to make things a little bit more pronounced. So now when I scrub through, I don't have any of that black haze anymore, and it looks very clean. I can turn my background back on, and it looks pretty good. Now what I need to do is I need to go up to my assets again. I need to go to the front of the old car. There's one that's a JPEG, and then there's also one that has a PNG. So when I drag that PNG on top here, it's going to be this big. I hit S for scale, and I can shrink it down to fit with what I want. I don't want the wheels in there because I'm not going to see them actually spinning, so I'm going to drag them down so I can't really see the wheels. And I can play around with the scale a little bit, make this a little bit bigger. But if you notice, the steering wheel is on the left-hand side here, and she is on the right-hand side, or vice versa. They just don't match up. So to fix this, what I need to do is right-click, go to Transform, and flip horizontal. And what that will do is flip your Model T's steering wheel over to the other side. And now what I can do again is play around with the scale and the size of things and make it work. Once I've got these two things together, so I have them in the car, what I want to do is pre-compose them so I can create a mask and track her hands over the top of the steering wheel. So I highlight the Model T in the capture, I right-click, pre-compose, move all attributes, and what I'm going to do is call this car. And I select OK. Now what that did was pre-compose and combine those two things together into one. If I double click on that, that will bring me into my car composition. And I can toggle my alpha channel to see how everything looks. Once I'm in here, go into the hands, and I want to be able to take her hands and put them over the top of the steering wheel. So I'm going to take this capture, which is going to be my base drivers. So I'm going to actually right click, rename, and call this drivers. I'm going to click on drivers. I'm going to hit Command D. I'm going to make drivers 2. This time I'm going to rename this one. Oops. I'm going to drag this up above the Model T because the hands are going to be on top. I'm going to rename this right hand. With the right hand selected, I go up to the mask and I mask out over her right hand. And I try and keep it as tight as possible. So there's my mask over the right hand. Make sure I get it in the right spot. My cursor was in the wrong area. So I can click on this and move it so that it's right over her hand. Here's my mask down in the composition. If I right click on it, I can click on Track Mask, and the tracker will open up over on the right hand side. All I want to be able to track is the position. Once I hit play, it will start tracking her hand. What I could also do is double click on the hand, and what that will do is bring me into the right hand layer where it isolates just the hand, and then push play. And it actually works a little bit better in here because you have the green screen background, and it just seems a little cleaner. And as you can see, I can stop it at any time and kind of adjust. And I push play again, and we'll start tracking her hand. And down in my composition, you'll see all the track points frame by frame. So I can keep tracking her hand. There it kind of got a little bit off, so I can move it up. And I can go back a little bit and retrace it and make sure that it's tracking properly. So it's just constantly monitoring where the mask is going to be and tracking it as you go forward. I'm going to finish with the right hand, and I'm also going to do the left hand and see how that looks. So if you take a look at the left hand, you'll see that I have tracked all the way through along with the right hand. Now what I can do is go back to Country Drive, and you can see how the hand kind of plays over the top. If I wanted to, I can mask this steering wheel out and put another steering wheel in her hand and make it look a little bit better. The other thing I can do is go into the car. If I look at the mask and want to see how, if I can make this a little bit smoother, I can go to the feather and feather in the mask a little bit so it's not as rough a transition from the hand to the steering wheel. If I want to make the mask bigger, I can expand it, or smaller, I can shrink it down. So lots of things that we can adjust within this and play around with. And we can also keyframe both the feather and the expansion to match with what we want. Last thing you can do is, because these two things are pre-comped together, if I go to position and I alt-click on position, I can type in wiggle 2-10. And what this will do is, for every second, it will wiggle twice in 10 pixels in any which direction. So if I play this, it will look like the car is kind of moving around on the road. So there's a lot you can do to help clean this up and make it look good. Don't forget about the bus, and don't forget about moving them out of the way so they don't get hit, and go from there. That's probably not a good spot for them. We'll have to play around with this some more. Have some fun tweaking and playing and adding whatever effects you want to add to it.